the Age of Fission radio show with your host, Lonnie Clark. We stand together and accept that we now live in a world transformed by Fukushima. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time here on UCY.TV radio. We relentlessly engage every ear that listens. We expose and confront the complete lack of accountability for the nuclear industry. Consider social engineering programs who view our bodies, minds, and souls as assets on a balance sheet. We discuss vital current issues, interview activists, and engage our audience in an effort to allow all voices to be heard. The Age of Vision radio show creates a venue that all will choose. We encourage our listeners to reclaim their power and their courage to take action and save our planet from the ravages of greed and indifference. Our actions matter. Every voice matters. We remind our listeners that happiness is resistance. Love is greater than fear.
Good morning, UCY.TV radio listeners. This is Lonnie Clark with the Age of Vision radio show. Today is April 6, 2016. I'm often saying this. I can't believe how quickly the time passes. I guess that is perspective. Anyways, today is Wednesday, and as you know, we do interviews with activists and healers on Wednesday. I'm really looking forward to today. We had a caller, someone who listens to our radio show, contact somebody who knew me to get in touch with me. And this gentleman, his name is Arthur. He's from western Oklahoma, about 30 miles from the border of Texas. And, you know, we were talking, I made some comment about fracking, I suppose, and he called up and said, hey, I live right here. I can tell you all about it. And here he is. So, Arthur, thank you for joining us.
You're welcome, Lonnie. It's a good pleasure to be on.
Well, it's really a delight to have you on. You have no idea. It's especially now when I'm really super busy, I'm really delighted to meet people who are out in a different part of the world and seeing America in a different way. So why don't you tell us what is happening where you're at with fracking, because that's what you're going to be talking to us about today, aren't you?
Of course. Fracking started here roughly where I live 8 years ago. Chesapeake Oil was the people behind it. And they wanted to frack the whole city underneath it, so they go in 2 miles deep and then across. So here we are, 8 years later.
Well, did anybody at the time when it happened go, we don't want to be fracked, we don't think that's such a great idea, you're going to be breaking up the earth? What's inside those chemicals, by the way?
Well, several of us, it was pretty much understood, though, regardless if we signed the lease or not, they were going to do it anyhow.
What? Tell me that again.
We were all told this from the very get-go. That we don't need anybody's signature. We can do it anyhow. We're going to do it
from the government.
regardless.
The government came in and said, "You mean the Department of Energy said that, or the oil company?"
No, the oil company made it pretty clear. I mean, I heard this from a neighbor and several, and I thought, well, what's one voice going to do? I remember when it first started out, I said, this is not going to be good for us. And they promised everybody all kinds of money, which is a farce. I mean, people think that people get rich by signing oil leases for fracking industry. Fracking industry is a loss from the get-go. If they're not fracking oil for over $100 a barrel, it's a complete loss. All the money's made on the front line from the investors. Of course, there's plenty of them to go around. and they get their money from the Federal Reserve, and you know, it's just a never-ending
Okay,
cycle.
so explain this to me. The Federal Reserve gives them money, these
Not
investors?
no, they give the money to the bankers, and then the bankers are the ones that in turn loan it to the oil companies.
Because
And they get
these are wanted
billions
by
of
the
dollars.
government. It's part of the energy. This is how the
Yes.
cycle of this is why the nuclear energy industry keeps getting money even though they're killing us.
Yeah, I mean, they don't care. They don't have anything to do here. I mean, if I bet you they was living in a place where it was about to occur, and it was going to happen right underneath their
Right.
property, they'd go, no, you're not going to do that here.
I think that actually did happen. A CEO of some energy company was flipped out because they were about to frack pretty close within 2 miles of his house. He went, hell no. And he stopped the project.
Well, look, it's
What is
Aubrey.
going on? Excuse me. Let me get back to this because so they started this 8 years ago. And how soon after the project got started did the people in at least your town, in your area, understand that this is really not something we were prepared to deal with? You know, that this is not good.
Well, I think it was about the time that everything in the town began changing in a real drastic way. I mean, the ground underneath this place, everything was built on a landfill. I mean, mostly all your cities are. I mean, they just keep moving it and moving it. And, you know, more building goes on and on and on. So once upon a time, this was probably a landfill, but all the stuff that's underneath it from those days started surfacing, like nails and glass. And I mean, I'd come out to my yard and I'd find big shards of glass sticking up through the ground.
You're kidding.
And,
From the
no.
fracking because of the way that it sort of shakes the earth.
Yeah, and it's pushing it upward. There's nowhere else for it to go.
Now,
So you walk out to your driveway, you know, and if it's dirt like mine is, there's nails and, you know, they're old. You can tell they're not just been put there. They're rusty and
artifacts.
been in the ground forever. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're artifacts. I've got some really nice looking ones.
Wow.
5-inch nails, you know.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. The archaeologists must love this idea. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they and they promise you all kinds of money. Like I said, I believe I got 50, 80, something like that, $50, $75 going in, and they said, when we get going here, you're going to have $50, $100 a month. You know, da, da, da. I got 2 checks in the whole time they were here in 8 years. One for $1.40, and I think the other one for $1.80. Never cashed either one of them.
Wait a minute. You're telling me that they came in and said they were going to pay you $50 a month.
50 to 100.
How kind of them.
Yeah. I have almost an acre, so, you know, it was like determined on your
Well, you think about the money they're making on your one little acre. For goodness sakes, that's just a spit in your face. No wonder they don't send you any money because it was an obvious, you know, that was not a realistic offer. Are the people in your area just outraged that the earth, I mean, just for background for our listeners, in case anybody out there is not aware of it, please Google fracking in Oklahoma. Oklahoma has now, this has even made mainstream media. In fact, Rachel Maddow has stopped reporting on it. She used to report on it quite regularly and report that there was something like 1,000 times, the last time she reported on it, she said it was like 1,000 times higher than the normal earthquake level, that the earth is shaking there all the time.
Well, we went from doing 2 to 3 earthquakes a year to 3 earthquakes a day in the last 8 years.
Are you still experiencing earthquakes daily?
Pretty much. I mean, I don't feel like some places, because they're centered, a place named Fairview, okay, has the latest as far as being over a 5, and they've had 2 within the last 2 months.
Wow.
And I
Wow.
mean, these were, at the beginning there were 2.2, 1.8, smaller. And now it's getting up to the point where it's escalated.
And what
And
does your elected officials say about all of this? What are they telling you? Your
um,
city council, all the way up the state, the feds, what do they say?
I really don't know. I don't go to a council meeting. Probably should, but I
Yeah,
figured
you should, and rattle that cage. I mean, this is why these oil companies get away with this, because nobody pays attention. I mean, for real. I mean, it only takes. Look what Donna Gilmore really seriously has brought out some very hidden information about the canisters that they store our nuclear waste in. It takes one or two people to make a change, Richard. I'm going to encourage you to please attend your city council or county commissioner meetings. That's where a lot of that stuff is decided or talked about. The DOE, they'll just run you guys over. They don't care. But
I had an apple orchard, and a small one, about
mhm.
40 trees.
Uh-huh.
Every one of them died since they've done this.
Every
Now,
one of them died.
there's not an apple tree or basically a fruit tree of any kind that has survived this. Now, this could also be from geoengineering,
That's
from
true.
the garbage that they're dropping from the sky. I mean, that's a proven fact. There's strontium. There's
Aluminum. They're just
worse. There's the
horrible.
aluminum oxide. It's the worst. I mean, and then coated with the fiberglass.
Well,
And
it's
it gets
killing
in
the
your
bees,
lungs.
and the bees can't pollinate. That's the.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just basic biology. But so let me ask you about this fracking. We talked about this very briefly beforehand. Because a long time ago, when I heard that Dick Cheney, right before they left office in their last budget, this is in terms of nuclear. They mandated that in 2012 that we spend $53 million for nuclear, and they also at the request of Dick Cheney, who drew up this legislation, the fracking industry was allowed to go ahead, and the secret ingredients were kept secret. They were not. It was a full non-disclosure. There is a non-disclosure. Nobody has to talk about anything from the fracking industry. They do not have to tell you what's in there.
That's pretty much, like I said earlier, they were going to do it whether you want them or not to. I mean, the prison they opened here, it's got to be, this is before I got here, 20 years ago, all right? Nobody wanted it here. Now it's closed, and I have a feeling that's part of the reason.
When did they close the prison?
The last day of operation was November, I believe,
Of this year,
of last year.
2015.
Yeah.
And what reason did they give for closing the prison?
They said they were moving. There was a problem with the contract, and they were moving all these people to California, which is wonderful. So then they can get a real good dose of Fukushima. And I guess they don't like these prisoners too well, but they never reopened it. They said they were. They said they had another contract, but nobody's ever come back here. So now they've got a prison that's closed. Now, just within the last month, well, actually a little over a month, they closed the hospital, which was a brand new facility. And there's something awful wrong here. I mean,
I wonder what the population of that prison, I wonder how many of those prisoners were sick. I wonder how, from drinking the water.
It was a brand new facility also, and it was a maximum security.
Yes, but if you're drinking water and your water's for, coming out of the ground, they're not going to give, imagine them forcing the prisoners to drink that groundwater and bathe in that groundwater, how quickly people would get sick.
Or having it trucked in.
You think they would truck it?
That'd be an awful amount of money.
Yeah, I don't think that they would do that. You know what I bet?
It's beyond me what happened out there. I mean, I don't know anyone that really directly
they would not
there.
tell us. That is not something that would ever ever tell us. So, but let's talk about that. So, here they come in 8 years ago. They decided to start fracking, and now, what is your water like? What is your you've lost a little a whole bunch of 40 apple trees. Can you grow food there?
I've seen these people try to grow food. It's everything is mutating. I mean, it's bad.
It's mutating? So that is a
Yeah,
clear indication that there is radiation being used. So
exactly.
This is something, Richard, do you have a pen or a pencil? Because I want to give you information because really seriously, contact Mimi Gurman at radcast.org, and there is a specific way for scientific testing to, get your sample to her so that it's not contaminated, so it can be a provable scientific product. But you ought to have your dirt. You should go around to different locations and send her like 5 or 6 samples of dirt around your area, because I'll bet you 2 to 1, because I've long suspected that the inside the fracking material is nuclear waste.
I believe that just came out recently. That is understood. It is a fact now.
Wow.
They've tried to hide it for so many years, and now they've just given up because people have just gone after them as far as this thing goes. I mean, you got people out there that are really utterly mad. They're not taking this anymore. They're speaking out. I should have, I'm older. Okay, I'm not going to tell you how old, but I'm getting up there.
That's all right. I'm 60 myself. I'm not ashamed. I'm actually pretty proud of it, man. Like, I made it this long, you know what I mean? And I'm not half dead, so thank God for that one.
You're trying to get out, the word, and, you're old like yours truly, and they're looking at you like you're nuts.
Right.
And the people here they're good souls, very good souls. Haven't moved here for that very reason. They're not trying to. Everybody when I first got here never had a cell phone. I don't think I saw one until just a few years ago. And everybody waves at each other as they go down the street. The economy has gone sour as a result from the prison closure and the hospital. But I mean, the whole place. The entire country's going down the drain, but nobody's. Everybody's watching CNBC and thinking everything's fine with the stock market. That's their final hope of vestige to prop up their game plan before it crashes. But the total loss of food life. I mean, the fruit trees. I mean, I had a guy come to me. He wanted to get some apples. I said, all my trees are dead, and this has been several years ago.
Wow.
So it happened. It took it about 3 years before it finally did, and that's why I'm saying it. It could be a combination of them, what they're spraying in the air, the chemtrails and everything else, which is also a fact. Anybody thinks differently is living in a dream.
Just look above your head. Those are not airplanes. Yeah. I mean,
I think they're flying drones. They say the pilots. I think they're drones these days.
I read that's what they are now. They've moved on to drones. They've realized they don't need the pilots; that they can just operate them as drones.
Yep.
So
and that way, nobody has a guilty conscience.
Wow.
Knowing
wow,
what
Arthur.
They're doing.
Well, so it sounds like the landscape of the area where you live in Oklahoma has dramatically changed because of the fracking. Like, you've lost trees.
Yeah, we've lost trees.
I mean, you've lost...
Pecan trees are starting to die now.
Are they really?
It's taken a while, yeah. I have several. And the neighbor next door, and, the pecans have not dropped yet. And
wow.
That's a prime indicator that the tree is dying.
Wow.
I lost an old tree that was an apple tree the other day. I mean, it finally just uprooted itself, but... I'll tell you what, it's sad.
Have you been able to, grow new trees? Have you planted new trees? Are you seeing if they will grow again?
Well, the new tree that I did plant is dying. It's gone.
Oh.
It went up 40, almost 30 feet within the last 6 years, probably. And now this year, it is looking so sad.
And your elected officials, they say nothing? You hear nothing about them saying anything?
No, well, everybody's in on the take. I'm probably sure of that. I mean, they're going to...
I don't know if they're in on it as much as coerced. I think that we have a lot of good people that are senators and elected officials that go to Washington, and I really believe they have two choices. You want to be rich or you want to be dead. And then after a while, it just becomes like they start throwing it out like we're expected to just accept the fact that we've got radiation in our water or fracking chemicals in our water. Like that's just the price of doing business, folks. I mean, it blows me away the way they just, I mean, have you now, who are your senators that, wasn't it Inhofe? Wasn't he the guy that really cornered this deal on the fracking?
Yeah, that's the guy.
I mean, he's a big fracker, right?
Yeah, he's a fracker for sure. He's an old fracker from way back when, huh? I don't even know the man, all right? But I know he's into the oil people. I mean, he's got, that's his deal.
Yeah, well, he cornered this deal of getting. So, if you look at where they're fracking, this is the scary part about the whole fracking thing. It's almost as if, this is why I talk about the gaslighting. Because don't you guys feel like this is done intentionally, like they know what they're doing?
Well, they have to, unless they're absolutely ignorant, and I doubt that seriously. They know what's going on, and they, nobody's, most people would, would give anything to have a place like, you have trees with fruit on them and everything else, and now everything is dead. And I've since removed all the trees. I mean, the dead ones. I've got very few trees left. At one time, I had almost 80 trees on my property.
Wow.
And now it's gone, and it's not looking any better. And it's just a barren piece of land now, basically.
Wow. Wow.
We could go for forever about the change of scenery. I've been here, and the people are moving. I mean, the economy is shot now. We have no hospital, so people get sick.
So you guys have no hospital? Why not?
They closed that as of a month ago. It's a little over a month ago. They said it was because of the copay on the patients.
What?
I have the patients that they were able to make their copays for
bull.
For the Medicare, Medi-Cal. Yeah, that's what I say.
That's bull. That's outrageous. You know what this is about? The water there is toxic. Can you shower in your water? Do you have a shower filter, or do you filter the water that comes into your house?
Unfortunately not. So
well, look.
I haven't.
I wonder what you would feel the difference. You can get a shower filter on Amazon for like $25. It just attaches. You just pull your shower head off and put this filter on. I know I notice a huge difference. I don't ever shower in unfiltered water. I wonder what that would feel like. Because do you drink the tap water?
No.
Yeah. So imagine.
I'm not saying, that the tap water isn't. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying the tap water is polluted or anything. I mean,
is the tap water good?
It's clear. I mean, I've seen these poor people up there in Flint, Michigan. That looks like.
Yeah. Well, this is why I'm suggesting you guys get, because radiation. You can't taste it. You can't feel it. You can't touch it.
Well, I'm going to take you up on that on a device about Mimi Gurman.
Yes, because you know what? And this is the thing. Mimi's organization, radcast.org, is awesome. They will test, at this point, they're a nonprofit. Everything goes towards what they're trying to do is save up for a machine to test the food. A good Geiger counter costs about almost, I think it's $6,000. And they're they have a donate button on their thing, and I think she told me they're up to like $1,500. They're saving money. They want to get a Geiger counter so we can test our food. But if you can get your dirt tested, I will tell you what, Arthur, it is really important. It sounds to me like you guys have been exposed to high levels of radiation, just like the people of, how the people of St. Louis had no idea that they were being radiated. It might be I'm not saying you are, but I'm saying it would certainly be prudent to find out what's in your dirt. What's in your dirt?
Yeah, what is?
So they have closed a prison and a hospital in your area in the last year.
Yeah, first the prison closed. So we lost a whole lot of people there, that were employed by this, all right? And we're not a very big town as it is. There's only a couple thousand that live here, if that now. Maybe it's down 1,500, who knows. That closed, and then the hospital closed. Well, actually, first it was, because they banned fracking here in the state. And there's 3,600 wells, fracking wells, and now there's only 2,400 that are offerable, but who knows? I mean, if you were to look on a map, Google, you can find these fracking wells easily.
Yeah.
Dutch Since, of course, he's the guy that turned me on to finding this stuff to begin with, and now they're supposedly close, but it's still not very many. I mean, you're only talking about a third, so there's still 2/3 in operation.
Right. They must have given them.
So if you ban this stuff, they're still going. I mean, what's the point?
They can't. Yeah, they can't do. They're still. They didn't ban them from operating. They just banned them from building more new ones.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I mean about people need to get engaged with their legislature. Honestly, people think it's pointless to get engaged, and that is exactly what the oil companies want you to believe. But it is not that difficult. If you got 100 or 150 of your citizens engaged, reading the legislation, saying, wait a minute, we want legislation to close down the fracking wells. This is not appropriate. I mean, we have an oil glut. We don't need really more oil. It's ridiculous.
Oh, I know.
And they're killing us. I mean, it literally. This is what I'm saying. Like, if you got your dirt tested and you had that information, and you could go to your elected officials and say, "This has been scientifically tested and proven by a scientific, or some scientists that verified it." Because what she does is their organization tests it, but she works with a professional lab where if she gets a positive radiation testing, she sends it to a professional lab, and these people at this lab will do it for free to just verify her results to make sure that they're correct. So when she says it's probably radiated, it probably is. So if you had that information or some kind of information, you guys might be able to get that. I mean, this is why I encourage you to actively engage, Richard, because you live there. It's your community that's being killed.
Yeah, the reason I moved here from the big city was it was so neat, and for the first 8 years I was here, it was beautiful. Actually, first almost 10 years, excuse me. And the land was great. I mean, it was just, and now all of a sudden it looks like a death valley. I mean, the poor trees. A weed tree probably still grows here pretty good. But there's the fruit trees of our history. There isn't any more fruit trees in our town.
Anywhere, nobody there has fruit trees. All their fruit trees have died.
All of them, yeah.
How big is your town?
Circumference-wise, maybe 2 miles.
Okay,
3
so it's a
miles.
small little
Three,
town.
maybe 3 miles in circumference. Huh?
So it's not a very
If that.
densely populated area.
No, it it's pretty spread out. Everybody has good amount of land. It's still cheap.
Mm-hmm.
And I have no qualms with the people that are running the city. They're beautiful people. The inspector, he's been here forever, and these people all work with you, but it's at the top end. You're talking about the guys up there in the main house that are not caring. I
You
mean,
mean like
like
at
I
the
said,
governor's office? You mean the governor's
yeah,
office?
at the governor's office.
What's the
I mean, here's
largest city next to you?
100
Or how?
130 miles away
Wow.
would be 100, almost 40 miles away would be
Hmm.
one way or the other, Oklahoma City or can't remember the name offhand, in Texas.
It's
Amarillo.
pretty far out in the middle of nowhere, in other words.
Yeah, it's yeah. Basically, if you didn't know this place was here, you'd drive by it. You wouldn't know it.
So that's what they feel like. It's no big deal if we just destroy the earth out there in a small community because it's so tiny. Who cares if they move away? It won't impact the economy at all.
Well, yeah, I was very concerned. Why you want to frack underneath the town? It's directly underneath. They did this.
They did
I
it.
mean,
Well, they must have found something under the town that they wanted, which was the oil, right? That's the
well,
reason.
it's natural gas line. It's you know. For
They're
those that
releasing
don't know.
methane. They're going after the methane.
Yes, they are. And that's worse than anything because this is what's causing the planet to overheat. I mean, it's not because of what's coming down from the sun; it's what's coming up from from the ground that's doing it.
Right, right, right.
And then they're finishing it off by darkening the sky with all this crap they're putting in the air.
The chemtrails, and then on top of that, we have the I mean, it's the triple whammy. It's like they're making sure they're getting rid of every species on the planet. That's how I feel sometimes. I have to say,
You don't have to explain that to me. I know they are. That's not just a maybe. That's a fact. They're out to do this planet in as far as the population goes. They've already got a plan in the works as far as maybe. Well, look at the Georgia Guidestones. I mean, it's 500 million, and that's
well, I'd
basically.
like to know how they're going to maintain their 500 million when they have radioactively contaminated, at least in the United States, practically every inch of land in this country. Our children will not be able to reproduce in 3 to 4 generations. I mean, I don't know if you agree with me, but I think this is like a massive catastrophic emergency that we're facing on our planet.
We are, and people don't realize it. People would be probably wouldn't get out of bed if you want to know the truth. I mean, they'd say, "This is it. What's the point?" And robots are already in line to do mostly everything, and that is everything that we used to do. So we're going to become a problem very soon for them.
Well, I don't know. I mean, there's that whole idea of Soylent Green, don't you think? Like, we'll just,
Yeah,
they'll
I've
just,
watched Terminator like I don't know 100 times probably.
yeah. I was
I
thinking
mean,
about that. It's funny you bring that up because who would have thought in our wildest dreams that is, I mean, that was almost like a warning to us of where they're planning to go.
well, they teach you the truth in movies and they lie in the news. And people ought to
That's an
get used to that.
interesting phrase. Say that again.
The lies are in the news and the truth are in the movies. Every movie has it's made in Hollywood, and who owns Hollywood? All right, they own the media, they own everything, the banks, everything, and they mock us all the time. They tell us the truth in the movies. Look at Back to the Future. I mean, 911 was predicted years into the 80s, okay? Years before it ever happened. It's right there in your face.
It was. I had not heard that. I actually had not heard that.
Twin Pine Mall, okay? The clock at Twin Pine Mall, okay, where it first starts out, it's now, if you look at the time, it says 11, what is it?
Yeah, 11:35 or something, if I recall right.
Well, if you turn it upside down, it comes out to 911. All right.
Really?
And then the next, yeah. And after they go back in the future and then come back, the Twin Pine Mall is now the Lone Pine Mall, just like what's down there now. And there are scenes in that movie that I could go on forever. I mean, that just in part 3 with the towers falling down.
You mean in the Back to the Future movie?
Back to the Future movie, yeah, where there's one scene where I don't know if it's Marty or no, not Marty. Maybe it's inverted, anyhow. He's hanging upside down, and you can see the towers are falling in the background. And that movie
I have to watch those movies again. I hadn't. Mm-hmm. This is a new concept to me, Arthur. I really had not even. I mean, I personally, I don't know how anybody can think that the official story is actually what happened. It was an assault on.
You'd have to be either whacked out or extremely stupid to believe that story.
Yeah, it's like.
And I still know people who are either whacked out or extremely stupid.
Well, I think there's another option. Like my friend Jenny, she said to me directly, Lonnie, I hear what you're saying, but if I really thought that the government would really do that to us, I'd have a nervous breakdown, and I just can't focus on it.
Well,
and that's why that's the very same reason people don't look at like in your area, fracking, the whole earthquake thing, the fracking, there's 2,400 fracking wells still going on. It hasn't stopped in your state.
Yeah, and look at the guy that was behind this. Is Aubrey McClendon, man. Now, I didn't know this guy. He's, probably my age was, supposedly. Now he's supposedly dead. And had this horrific car crash with an old clunker that was 3 years old. Here's a billionaire driving a 3-year-old Junkard.
Went like an exorbitant amount of miles per hour into a tree, right?
No, into a concrete pylon that houses a bridge, and it destroys the car and the occupant to the point where you can't identify him. And this just so happened the day after he was indicted on this fracking deal. And I mean, he bribed Congress. He was doing all kinds of good stuff, just like it was in Pennsylvania, and was gifted with a almost $15 million parachute bailout. And Wow. It cost the investors lost. He got $15 million. And the investors lost almost it was 14, I believe, billion that year.
Wow.
So he gets a big bonus, and then he gets dead, and now he's gone. He's probably over in some island with Kenneth Lay.
Yeah, that's called a Ken Lay death. You know what I mean? Like
he's watching the surf come in some other island, and here we are left with the cleanup.
When I saw that story, to me it sounded so fishy. There's no proving it, but it just doesn't jive. That doesn't make sense.
How many people? What's the odds, okay?
And it's yesterday's news. I mean, this is how easy these people can get away with it. This is the thing. Because of the way we don't actually have journalism. We have news. You know what I mean? We have people who tell us what is new. And after it's finished being new, we don't talk about it.
Yeah, we have prostitutes.
Exactly. That's
all we have. I have no, as far as I'm concerned, don't ever watch the news ever on TV.
I like to
haven't
watch
for
it just
years.
to see what they say. I can't stomach it for very long, but I do watch it just because you got to listen to what they're,
I
millions of
always
people
listen.
believe these people.
Yes, I do. I listen to it also. Only most of the time with the sound off to see what they're lying about. And usually you can tell all the time how they're lying because you can't keep a straight face, and they're always looking up and down this way and that way. And it's funny that we have the same people that are in there forever. Okay, just like what's going on in Washington, they're there forever. They got a job for life. Everybody's
Well, this
in
is
on
the
it.
reason that they have a job for life, because people refuse to be engaged. We could be shaking it up every 4 years and every 6 years, every 2 years at the local level. We could be making time in our lives. I mean, I still call my elected officials. I mean, Ron Wyden's office blocks my phone calls. My senator, Ron Wyden, unless I block my phone number, I can't get through to his office because they don't like me.
Yeah, here's the guy that started off like he was all concerned about what happened at Fukushima,
Yes,
and then he did an about face.
yes,
You know
and
that?
yes, he went there 4 times,
Yeah.
and after the third time, maybe the third time, or maybe it was the third time, I'm pretty sure, his office could not discuss anything with me about it at all. They said, well, it's now considered a national security. It's been placed under the Patriot Act.
Yeah,
And
everything.
I said, you know what, that's ridiculous. You're telling me that our government knows vital information about my health and my security, and you can't tell me for my security. And the lady said, ma'am, I can't discuss anything with you.
You're up in Oregon.
Yeah.
Okay, I have family there. Lost a brother-in-law.
Sorry.
53. 53. Never, and it's the immune deficiency, that
Yes, that
kill
is.
the people.
That's
Heart,
a signature of radiation exposure.
yeah, and cesium attacks the muscle.
When
Your
did
heart
he die? When did your brother-in-law die?
just about it was September of last year.
Was he sick before Fukushima?
Mm-mm.
No.
Oh, he was a good kid, you know.
Mm.
And he wasn't really, as far as my stepbrother anymore, we divorced years ago, but still, he was, family as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
I got his sister, now has leukemia, as well as his brother.
In Oregon.
Mm-hmm. And the
The
family's never had, ever had anybody die of heart disease or leukemia. I mean, Mom is still alive at 94. Okay, his mother, survived him, and that's got to be tragic. That the family, the three children, actually there's four, and one lives out on the East Coast, are either dead or dying, and this all came up within the last, Fukushima's 5 years now.
See, I
5
think
years that
Fukushima pushed us over the edge, but when you consider that the latency period for radiation is 4 to 80 years, many of us, like myself, I was exposed to the Santa Susana nuclear explosion, the first nuclear explosion in the country. And many people here in the Northwest have been repeatedly exposed to radiation from being downwind of Hanford. And then Fukushima comes in from the other side. So the oncology rates are soaring. No one's keeping track, as we have discovered from the people in St. Louis. The government does not keep track. So
you have babies being born up there in Washington, and who knows where else, without brains.
That's right.
And that's not talked about ever on the mainstream.
Ever.
Ever.
That's right.
And that is not because of some insecticide. This is radiation is a direct result of that. And you're up there in Washington, where Hanford is, and this is not good. You got 40 miles of. Look at 30 million 1-ton bags of nuclear waste over there at Fukushima.
That's right.
30 million 1-ton bags. These things are only good for a year.
Right. I know. That really, honestly, the bags are an indication of just all it's about is somebody making money. They're getting these big contracts to dig up dirt, and that's it because they know it's a waste of time. This thing about the exposure, but again, we have very little control over what happens in Japan. But I feel like, these elected officials, the only reason that they're there is because we keep them there. So I don't know. Well, let me ask you this, Arthur. Do you believe in the elections or any of that? Do you think that it's worthwhile to actually vote? I mean, I've heard you say
Nope.
this a couple of times. So you don't
Nope.
participate in any of that system and you just ignore them all.
Well, of course, they're always, especially a presidential election.
Do you think that your life would be threatened if you actively got engaged in your area, like contacted your county
Probably.
commissioners? Because you guys are very, I was thinking about this just a second about how isolated you are. So it would be very easy to intimidate you. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Or threaten your life and make you realize like these people are deadly serious about keeping your trap shut.
Of course, they don't want you talking. They'd kill me. They'd kill me in a minute. They wouldn't think twice about it. Look at all the holistic doctors that have died
Right.
mysteriously,
What's the
trying to
number?
get the word. I mean, the help to people, and shut down these vaccines and all this other stuff. They're dead.
Right.
Dead people can't talk.
Right, exactly. I don't know if it's the government. In my view, I think it might just be the drug companies doing it. That's what I think is doing it. I think they
Well,
just
big
don't.
pharma, yeah, big pharma stands to lose a ton. I mean, and you notice how many of these places have got the rad count is up to the ceiling. In Colorado, that's why they probably let these people get their medicinal marijuana. I mean, recreational marijuana
Yeah,
going. Because they probably said these poor bastards won't be alive much longer anyhow. Let's
no
have
doubt.
some fun on the way out the door.
Look, I know people in Colorado, and guess what? Half of them are sick. There's many of them
hmm
sick. I mean, but again, it's about the social engineering, Arthur. This is the thing. Like in your little neck of the woods, people keep silent. In my neck of the woods, my own daughter refuses to talk about any of this. I have two grown children in their 30s. Neither one of them, they're just like, they don't want to think about it. They don't want to. And I believe that it's because if people actively really engaged, we'd feel compelled to contact. This is how if you really felt compelled to contact and organize, because honestly, I'm not going to just lay down in front of the truck and let it roll over me. You know what I mean? Like Ron Wyden's office has blocked my phone calls, but I figured out how to call his office. I've learned how to block my number so that I can get through and call him. He's a senator who refuses to talk to me. I did insult him. I called him go along to get along, Ron. You know what I mean? So maybe that had
Yeah.
something to do with it. But he has an obligation to talk to me. He doesn't have to like me. He does have to listen to me. And that's what I told his office. We don't have to like each other. He's my elected official. He has a responsibility to listen to what I say. Whether he acts on it, that obviously he's ignoring what is even for his own. He has two twin girls. You think that this is why I think guys like Ron Wyden have been coerced. I don't think if you look at Ron Wyden in all these hearings, I don't know if you've watched them, but kind of like Inhofe, I watched the hearings, so I know all these senators' names, and I watch their behavior because Inhofe ushered in the fracking. He thought it was a great idea. He couldn't get it passed quick enough. He was one of the guys working with Cheney to keep the secrets secret.
Yeah.
So,
And he's still there.
but why is that? Because the people in Oklahoma keep electing him. Because
Exactly. They all love him. No, there's no disputing that.
they love him. They think he's great.
Yeah.
Really? This is why I'd be afraid to go to Oklahoma.
I don't think I've found anybody, and I'm not being facetious. I don't think I've found anybody that has, and I don't say anything about them because, you know what I want to do, get myself killed, or run out of town or something. I mean, I don't think I found anyone with a malicious word about the man.
He's done nothing but harm your state in so many ways. He is like one of the most evil people in the Senate, in my view. No offense, I know he's your senator, but man, he has caused a lot of harm to your own state.
Going along with this deal and killing the earth beneath you is not. And for what? I mean, like I said, it costs over $100 a barrel to frack and get it out of the ground. It's a loss from the get-go. The only people that are making money are on the top. Of course, the oil, the guys that are working, but now they've got no jobs. A lot of them are, have left the area.
Wow. Well, look, this is the thing. They've left the area because your environment has been destroyed, your own trees. Like, you're telling me your neighbors whose apple trees are dying and dead still think that Inhofe is a great senator.
Yeah. Basically, yes.
Are they not? Do people just not? And if you say anything against them, then what? You're just some flaming liberal or what?
Well, you are either brain dead or you must not know what you're talking about, because he does everything for us,
Really?
And I never say anything derogatory. I just say, who did you vote? If they'll ever give me their, oh yeah, I voted for him. And like I said, I don't participate because I know it's going to be, it's like this presidential race that's happening right now. It's all, I guarantee you who's going to win this. You want me to tell you?
Yeah.
Close the door on that issue, huh?
Yeah, please.
Who's going to win?
Yeah.
You'll love it. Miss Clinton.
No, please don't say that. No, yeah. She will not win. She cannot be president. You know why? There's plenty of Democrats like myself who would never vote for her. You're laughing. You think it doesn't matter? The votes don't matter. They'll just buy the machine.
They've already bought the machines. That's a.
Yeah, I mean, look what she did in Arizona. People went in Arizona to go vote, and their machines only allowed them to vote for the Republicans. You couldn't vote for a Democrat.
She's owned and operated by Wall Street. This is the one that's going to make it. Unless we have some kind of crazy event and they try to assassinate Trump or do some weird stuff.
They're not going to assassinate.
She'll be your next
Trump
president.
is in the race. You want my opinion? Trump is in the race, really, to make Clinton look good. That's what I think. I think that's why he shoots himself in the foot as often as he can. And then he's really good at backing up because he's super smart. But I think that what's happened is the establishment has underestimated the disdain many Democrats like myself have for Monsanto Clinton. I, for one, I am only going to write in Bernie's name. The vote will be split and it'll be a Republican president, which is far better than Monsanto Clinton, in my view. I mean, if Bernie can't be president, we might as well look for a different country to live in. That's how I feel.
Well, I guess you'll have to start looking.
Yeah.
He'll be your president.
Yeah, well, for goodness sakes, if she gets elected, if they ascend her to the throne, for sure I'm going to talk to my kids about leaving this country. Because there's no way I want to live in a country based on, 8 years of Bush, 8 years of Obama, and then, I mean, it's the Bush crime family all the way through.
We have a monarchy now. We're no longer, and even going back to old days. I mean, look at the Titanic. All right.
Right.
Titanic sunk on the 15th. The day we pay our taxes.
That's right.
All these guys that were lined up to go against the Federal Reserve being enacted in 1912. The very next year, within 18 months, here come the Federal Reserve, roll them out. All the guys they wanted to get out of there that were opposed to it, the Federal Reserve taking over the money.
Well, wasn't that the day they
at the bottom
passed the
of the Atlantic
legislation?
Ocean now?
Yeah.
And it wasn't even the Titanic; it was the Olympic that sunk. They switched these ships, and long before, people don't, they don't read a lot.
This is the thing, Arthur, is that, you and I are talking about things that, because we're sort of citizen journalists, we've looked into this. These ideas will seem foreign to many people, but the reason that we can talk about them with fluidity on the issue of fracking in Oklahoma is it's kind of all the same program. To use us like lab rats, basically. I mean, this has all been about making a very select, elite few mega wealthy and in complete control. And
And you got to wonder how much money they need. I mean, for God's sakes, well, you got everything there is, and now you want more, and people are just killing themselves, 2 or 3 jobs. Remember that gal was on with George Bush, that worked 3 jobs. Well, how utterly American, or whatever he said.
yeah,
This idiot. This guy couldn't even wash a glass. Okay, I mean, and we got him up there posing as a president. Gee, I mean, this is how stupid. That guy was so stupid. He insulted stupid people.
thank you for saying that. I didn't. At least I'm one person who. There's now we have it. At least one person from Oklahoma said that.
God. And I run into people all the time think he was the greatest. I mean, because we're in the Bible Belt, so what the hell?
People
That's the
think
problem.
that he was a great guy.
Hmm. He wouldn't have done anything wrong like that. He just saw that plane that ran into the tower, the North Tower, when there was no filmage on it, but he saw it on TV, and he lied. He put his foot in his mouth every time he turned around. And you want to talk about a little deviant in office? There you go. There's the guy.
Yes, there is.
That's the one they sent out to sink the ship. And
Well, mission accomplished. What do you think mission accomplished meant? Mission accomplishment did not mean Iraq. It meant we have tidied up the bow on the fascist state. He had just gotten in all the Supreme Court justices that he wanted. They had stolen 2 elections. Nobody said jack about it. They got themselves firmly planted in the Middle East, and the sales on arms were roaring. And when they left office, they were even able to tidy up the deal on the fracking. They got rid of they used nuclear energy in the fracking, and nobody knows about it. And hence, 8 years later, you and I are on the radio talking about the apple trees in your backyard dying.
Yeah, I'm just a little hit guy, all right? I'm worried about, things that are, you can grow dying. I mean, this is a major problem, and you were right. It's they pull that all the stops. They're gonna outright pretty much annihilate most of us.
I would encourage you, and I know that you may feel like it's useless, but I really believe it's important for us to actively engage and get engaged and stick our necks out. It's going to take us to stop these monsters. It's going to take every one of us to get actively engaged. Call them up and object to what they're doing. Let them know that you're watching the legislation that they're passing. They can't keep poisoning us and killing us while we just lay down in front of the truck and let them roll over us. You think it's all pointless, don't you?
Well, I do.
I know. I heard that in that silent break there. You didn't go.
I do.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't engaged for I don't know, for that reason.
I get it.
Because it is what it is. It's pointless.
So, Arthur,
we have to have a new. Well, okay, I know you got to go.
we all have to go. We do have to have a new conversation, and I hope you'll join us on May 11th. I'd like to have you calendared to come back in and join us once again.
I would love to.
Okay, well,
if
everybody.
I'm not dead, I will be there.
Okay, put your courage feet on. Take some action, you guys. Thank you, Arthur, for joining us, and we'll talk to you soon.